Sup everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Yelan, and as the live stream has already shown us more of what she's capable of doing, I'm sure in today's video we're going to be able to go over the things that most people should know whether or not she can provide value to your teams, because understand Genshin Impact is a game that is wildly different for people who are building towards different directions. The good thing is Yelan is a Hydro character, which arguably is currently one of the best elements in the game. I'd say either one or two. So without further ado, let's talk about Yelan. First and foremost, I did make a couple videos talking about my concerns with this character, as there are only a few possibilities for whatever she can be, and she did end up being essentially an upgraded version of Xingqiu. I'm hoping she's an upgrade. I'm hoping she's not just a slightly better C6 Xingqiu that funnels more towards damage, because that's what we're currently seeing. Xingqiu, while being amazing for both Hydro application, he also provides a small amount of healing and also damage mitigation. The healing is not enough for him to be your dedicated healer, because if that's true, he would just straight up be broken, but it's enough to get by in certain team comps where you probably don't even need to bring any healers. Case in point being the classic Hu Tao comp that's quite meta nowadays. You bring Hu Tao, Xingqiu, Albedo, and Zhongli. The double Geo is great for stat boosting, and along with Zhongli's amazing shielding capabilities, with Xingqiu's damage mitigation, and now a little bit of healing, and on top of that, Hu Tao's own burst, because in this team, everyone else only comes on the field to refresh their abilities. They never stay on the field for prolonged damage. The one who, if taking any at all, would be Hu Tao. So having Hu Tao with her burst, being able to heal herself, and in conjunctions with Xingqiu's small little bit of healing, it's great. So when you take Xingqiu out of that team and let's say you bring someone like Yelan in, I'd say it'll be fine, because the healing for the most part that Xingqiu provided is not going to be a big problem. However, the problem really starts happening when you start considering, is Yelan's Hydro application consistent enough? At the very least, can it match Xingqiu's to the degree that Hu Tao can consistently still vaporize her attacks, her charge attacks? For people who look at leaks, you likely already have the answer to this, or maybe not. I think a lot of this stuff is speculatory, but right now it depends on what carry you are running. Let's say someone who's running Yoimiya, someone who's running Hu Tao, you both may be relying on a character like Xingqiu. For example, if you're running Yoimiya in the first half and you want to run Hu Tao in the second half, Yelan is a good option because she offers you that flexibility in opening up other team slots. That being said, certain teams likely will remain unchanged. For example, some national variations, I do think that Xingqiu just provide overall more value than for someone to go out of their way, pull a 5-star just so they can slap them into the national team. That doesn't mean Yelan won't work in them. It's just I think there's more value in keeping the national teams, as it's easier for recommending to newer players. Imagine if it's like, oh, you can run this national team where you need Yelan, and suddenly people start scratching their heads like, is this still the most budget-friendly best team in the game? There are a ton of national variations anyway, so throwing Yelan in there isn't really gonna be anything revolutionary. My biggest concern with Yelan is always going to be what is going to be gating this character through constellations. We've seen many characters just feel incredibly awkward to play, case in point being Yaimiko, and to some degree even Ito, when a simple constellation 1 or 2 can solve, I'd say, 90% of the problems that most free-to-players would have with the character. Specifically, I'm talking about burst uptime. Again, for people who look at leaks, you're gonna know the answer to this, but it doesn't take away from the fact that we have to ask this question. How consistent will Yelan be on the field? Not only is Hydro application and consistency an issue, there's also the problem with burst uptime. Now granted, I understand that she's damage oriented, so you're likely going to be able to pack more punch in her burst than Xingqiu is capable of doing. But almost never do we bring more than one Hydro in a specific team. Hydro itself is so efficient at getting the job done that usually one decent Hydro applicator for one team is enough to facilitate all reactions that are Hydro related. Electro Charged, Vaporize, and also Freeze. And looking at most of these Hydro characters, they're able to use their burst for the most part consistently, and for those who are not extremely reliant on their burst, they have other tools in their kit that are immensely powerful, case in point being Kokomi. With Yelan's elemental skill seemingly forcing you to have her on field and taking up more time to weave around the enemies, and of course they said in the live stream, the more you weave, the more enemies you're able to hit with this ability, the stronger it's going to be. So now the question is also going to be, how many particles does that generate? Are we going to be forced to bring some sort of additional pseudo battery unit, or end up forced to pull for maybe a quick Constellation 1? Because that can really be a mood killer for a lot of people. And I understand most people are sitting there drooling over their keyboard saying, well, it doesn't really even matter what you say. I'm pulling for this character because armpits. I understand, right? Me too. Right, me too. I'm pulling for this character regardless. But I can tell you right now, if you are considering this character just because people are saying she's going to be like the next Xingqiu, she's the best thing that has ever happened to the game ever, she's going to be insanely broken, Hydro characters are OP. Yes, Hydro characters are almost impossible to mess up. You would have to do something monumental for a Hydro character release to be complete crap. But right now, Yelan has big shoes to not only fill, but compete with, right? People are currently torn between whether they want to pull for this character to either A, replace Xingqiu, or provide a second option to Xingqiu. But with these problems sitting on, this is the surface level of problems. Is she going to be able to have consistent Hydro application? And is she going to be able to cycle through her burst efficiently? Imagine a scenario where Hu Tao has 3 elemental skill infusion windows and Yelan can only burst once out of 3. Why would you even have her in that team to begin with? The same thing would go for an Ayaka Freeze team as well. If it's going to take Yelan that long to use her burst, why not Kokomi elemental skill? Why not just use Xingqiu? So is Yelan really going to be able to replace Xingqiu in a lot of these teams, or is she somehow a different version of Xingqiu that provides more damage-oriented buffs and capabilities as opposed to this hybrid defense utility style which Xingqiu has? And don't get me wrong, hybrid defense utility is still pumping out a lot of damage. So unless Yelan is pumping out damage that's going through the roof, I'm talking like 150k Vaporize with Hu Tao per charge attack, or else it's really going to be difficult in justifying you bringing her. Now, the answers to all of these questions likely are already available online via leaks. However, these are not final numbers. They're not indicative of the final product. Take them, of course, with a grain of salt. HoYoVerse can easily crack her burst cost up by 20 energy for whatever reason, or drop it by 20 and increase her burst duration by 2-3 seconds. Nobody knows, and these minute changes could be instrumental in whether this character succeeds or flops in the meta. I'm not fear-mongering, nor am I overhyping. I'm pointing out very real problems that this character will likely face. All the criticism that's going to be thrown at her likely will be in one or multiple categories that I've just mentioned. Really, you have to decide for yourself, is this a character that is going to be making your account more powerful, or is this another optional pickups of something that already exists in the game but with a twist? Finally, I don't want to rule out the option that she likely will feel not suited to the current meta or current options that we have, but somehow when Sumeru comes along, she's going to get better and better, age even more finely than Kokomi. HoYoVerse can have us regretting skipping on Yelan, but that's how they always operate. Are you going to bank everything on an if? Are you going to bank everything on the chance, the off chance that HoYoVerse is going to do by Yelan right? There are plenty of examples where they've taken characters and shafted them for years on end. Xiao, right? Do you want to end up in that position? Are you okay ending up in that position? Are you okay in giving up a potential guarantee for Kazuha for the potential of a powerful character that seemingly already exists in the game in the form of a 4-star? That's all I'm saying. I don't think Yelan, by any stretch of the imagination, is going to be weak, but I don't think she's going to be revolutionary. I don't think anybody should be saying she is a must pull or she is going to be insane, cracked, out of this world. I think she's going to be a great character, especially for people who don't have a well-built Xingqiu, or for those who have unique teams that require her role in them to complete. That's all I wanted to say. Hope this has opened your eyes a little bit more, and please look out for the answers to these questions. I'm sure as we approach her actual release, they're going to be spread everywhere on the internet. I'm just here to pose the questions and you guys can get the answers, because right now I don't have the answers. These are the things I'm going to be looking out for when she comes out. With that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Till then, stay safe. Peace, bye.